Hello everyone, how are you? I'm back again with another lecture which is on reliability and validity in qualitative research, which can be also said as the standard in research, how to maintain the standard in research. So today we're going to talk about the reliability and validity of qualitative researches. For that, first we need to understand what is meant by validity and reliability. See, a good paper and a bad research paper. A good research paper and a bad research paper can only be distinguished by the level of validity and reliability that it has. In qualitative research, the researcher's subjectivity is questioned, his findings are questioned. As there are no statistical or empirical calculations, therefore, a lot of people question that whether your findings were correct or not. How do you justify your findings? How do you justify the reliability of the tool? Because everything was based on the researcher. How did the researcher develop the tool and how did he analyzed it? As we studied in the thematic analysis that you did the coding by yourself, then how do you justify that coding? Because there is no statistical empirical calculation. We cannot do cron by alpha type of test on that. So a lot of quantitative researchers often question that, if you're not doing any kind of empirical test on them, then how can you judge its validity and reliability? If we talk about validity, a validity is basically the accuracy of the findings and whether the findings are accurate or not, whether they are real or not. There are basically two types of validity: internal validity and external validity. Internal validity means that the results that that you got, how much do they represent the reality of the sample? And then external validity means that how much of that result can be applied to the entire population. Reliability basically means the consistency that if, no matter how many times we go and we do the research, we will get the same results. So when we do different types of tests, we realize that whether this applies to them or not. But as I said, in qualitative research we don't have such data. Therefore it becomes very controversial that, whether people accept it or not. A lot of people don't accept qualitative research as a proper scientific research, and they say it's only hearsay. What you have heard, you just wrote it. Therefore, qualitative researchers sat together and they thought that, oh, okay, we cannot do these statistical tests. Therefore, but we still need to maintain the reliability and validity. So we should develop our own criteria because our data is different, because our tools are different, because our way of doing work is different, because of our paradigm and focus is different. Therefore the test of our reliability and validity should be different as well. So they introduce terms like credibility, trustworthiness, truth, applicability, consistency, and conformability. So here, as they have shown that quantitative researchers used to talk about validity, internal validity and external validity. But in qualitative research, we talk about credibility, that how credible the researcher is, how credible the sample is. We talk about transferability, that how much detail the researcher has written his research, and now the other person can easily transfer it as well and can apply it to them as well. Also, how much the result can be applied to them as well. If we talk about reliability, but in qualitative research, we talked about dependability, that whether the results are dependable or not. In quantitative research, we used to talk about objectivity, but in qualitative research, we go and we confirm it from them. Again, remember in the thematic analysis, I told you that once you get the codes, you go back to your sample and you ask them whether it applies to them or not, whether you have analyzed it correctly or not, whether they meant the same thing or not. If we talk about credibility, the credibility basically shows the internal validity. For this, we usually triangulate the data. We can go for member checks. We can use multiple tools and we can see that, we use two three tools and the same data came up. We can ask some other member to come and help us in coding. They can code, you can code, and then you can see whether your code match or not. Then we talk about transferability. Again, as I said, we talk about thick description. We write in as much detail so that the other person knows the step by step guide of how you completed your research. Then we talk about dependability. We put up an audit. We see that whether the results are consistent or not. For objectivity, for conformability, Objectivity is confirmability, in which we see whether the researcher has written everything or not. Usually in a paper, there are four major threats that question the reliability and validity of a research: the researcher, the sample, the situation, or the method of data collection or analysis. The researcher is the main data gathering tool. So the researcher needs to be unbiased. The researcher needs to be neutral. The researcher needs to be as close to the sample that the sample trusts him and they give him all of the information that he needs. But he shouldn't be too close to them that he becomes native, that he starts thinking in the way of the sample. Because if that happens, if his judgment is influenced by the sample, then he will not be able to make correct answers. He will not be able to give correct findings. The next major threat is the subjects. That the subjects sometimes are very fearful that, if we give a result, whether our answers will make you happy or not, whether we would lose our job, whether we would be able to please you or not. So we need to tell them that it doesn't matter whatever your answer is. Your answer will not impact on anything, neither with us nor with your employers. So now we just getting the data for the betterment of the academy or the betterment of the industry. So we have to show them the bigger picture. We have to tell them that what is the main significance of the study, what is the main focus, and we need to tell them that gathering the correct data is very important. And obviously we always go back to them and we confirm the findings and analysis. Sometimes we ask our peers as well to come and conduct the interviews with us, or our peers to come and help us as well, so that they can see they can they can evaluate the data with us, so that it can be there that okay, two people collected the same data and they found out the same results. Next is the social context. A lot of people behave very differently at one place and completely different at another place. This is why we usually collect the data at multiple times, at multiple places. It's because a person will act different at home, different at office, different outside the office. So we need to take that context as well, that when we were collecting the data, what was the setting, what was the time, whether we collected one time or many times. Then sometimes we have issues with the data collection and analysis as well. Sometimes we haven't done the sampling as well. So we need to explain what was our sampling technique and explain how did we collected our parties, how did we contact our participants, and how did we collect the data. We collect the data from multiple sources with multiple methods, and we explain what our data analysis procedure was. Now, to overcome all of these threats, we usually use these 7 type of techniques. We triangulate the data. We make sure that we don't use one tool, we use multiple tools. We use multiple, that means we collect data not at one occasion, but at different occasions, or maybe at different times. We go for expert conceptual validation. We go and we ask experts what do they think about it. We ask them that, to come and validate our data. We ask them what their research was, so that we can verify. We go for member check, as I was telling you that for coding we can do this, so that we can ask another person to come and sit with us, and they will code separately, we will code separately, and then we can see that whether our results match or not. We can also go for searching for disconfirming evidences or check for representativeness. We see that, whether our data represents the proper sample or not, whether the sample relates to the data, whether, whether the researcher has not hidden any of the data that went against him. The last but not the least is the thick description. We see that the researcher has given enough detail. He has written every single thing in the detail over there, that the other person can easily read and do the research again. You tell them why did you become interested in the paper. You tell them that what was your initial assumptions about it. You tell them that what literature you studied, what was your data collection methodology, what was your data analysis technique. You tell them what was your sampling technique. You explain them in detail. You explain them your findings, and you relate it with the literature as well, for the other person to understand that exactly what were you trying to say. So if we take care of all of the threats, and we make sure that these 7 points are covered in our research paper, then our qualitative research paper becomes reliable and valid. We have the proper credibility, we have a proper trustworthiness, we have proper dependability, we have proper confirmability. Now, if you have any further questions in relation to reliability and validity, you can let me know and then we can discuss it later. And you can also write a question under this video and then I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.